Hello Top 10 fam! We know that computers are smart. With algorithms in place, they think faster than a person, honestly. Plus, I feel like everyone can say they've been beaten by a robot playing chess at one point or another. If that's just me, let me know, but come on, they're really good at playing chess. But anyways, AI keeps getting smarter, and things that can come out of it getting smarter can be weird or full-on mind-boggling. Today, I'm gonna be giving you the list of 10 programs that give me the chills. Top 10 cursed programs. Alright, starting with number 10, we have virtual cannibalism. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, was working on some social AI in 2000. Mike Sellers, who was a part of the team working on this AI, told Stats and Bots that the program was aimed at making agents interact socially together. There were 3 agents: Adam, Eve, and Stan. They kind of noticed the symbolism later. And with this program, there were some issues. The first issue was that Stan wasn't as social as the other 2 agents. The second issue was that the food they were eating within the program, apples, weren't filling them fast enough. The third issue was that Stan, the kind of loner agent, was hanging around whenever they were eating food. The third issue was that Stan was hanging around whenever they were eating food. Within the program, the agents had been learning through association, so if a dog bit them, they associated a dog with pain, and Stan was around during when they were eating food, so they started to associate Stan with food. So they both took a bite out of Stan when they weren't full enough. The final issue was that each bite of food took away 0.5 units of mass, and humans in this program had a mass of 1.0, so when both of them took a bite out of Stan, he vanished. And the first victim of virtual cannibalization was gone. So if robots take over, it only takes a few bugs in the system for them to deem the path of least resistance being the one through us, is what I'm saying. So check for bugs in your code, people. Do it, please. Thank you. Next, at number 9, we have made-up faces. On the website thispersondoesnotexist.com, images of what appear to be people pop up on screen, but they aren't real people. Like the site name says, this person does not exist. These images are imagined by a General Adversarial Network, or GAN. This is a type of machine learning that was introduced to the world back in 2014. Here's a great explanation of what it is by Learn AI, an awesome resourceful site that explains deep learning, so check it out. The goal of a GAN is to synthesize artificial samples such as images that are indistinguishable from authentic images. AKA, what thispersondoesnotexist.com does is generate artificial face images by learning from a dataset of other faces. They look more real over time as well due to the learning, so go to the site to see for yourself to judge and think about real faces versus these. It's kind of creepy to refresh the page and see a face that looks real at first glance, and then you study the picture just for a moment and you know it's not quite right. It's like a composite face, kind of, when you see people mash all those celebrity faces together to see what their babies would look like, except a little more realistic looking. Kind of weird. But moving on, let's hit number 8 where we have Facebook bot language. Back in 2017, Facebook decided to shut down an experiment because what was happening was too creepy even for Mr. Zuck. Facebook made artificially intelligent chatbots and challenged them to negotiate a trade and improve bartering. Kind of like an experiment for their marketplace on Facebook. What Facebook didn't do was instruct them to use comprehensible language, so the bots began to use a language of their own. The bots, also known as Alice and Bob, seemed to understand what the other was saying and even carried out some negotiations. The dialogue wasn't a human language though, and included a lot of repeated phrases that seemed quite off. While Alice seems to me to be enthusiastically quoting Bohemian Rhapsody, saying to me, 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 repeatedly, Bob is repeatedly saying I, like in a lowercase I written out, and Bob also included a bunch of spaced out periods. Facebook ended up shutting down the chatbots, and researcher Mike Lewis said it was because Facebook's interest was having bots who could talk to people, according to The Independent, but that doesn't make the situation any less freaky, okay? They made up their own language to communicate with each other. Still kinda spooky. But moving on to number 7, Talking Barbie. In 2015, Mattel came out with a Wi-Fi enabled talking Barbie that detected language and talked back with one of 8,000 pre-programmed lines. It heard using a microphone within Barbie's necklace, and it used Wi-Fi to send these conversations back to a control center for processing. It's a great idea, but there's one issue. Barbie could get hacked. In a news report by NBC, a US security researcher named Matt Jakubowski explained what he was able to get from it. System information, Wi-Fi network names, account IDs for the account that's connected to, and MP3 files. With this information, a person could find someone's address, have access to everything Barbie records. Jakubowski even said, "It's only a matter of time until we're able to replace their servers, Mattel's servers, with ours and have her say anything we want." Understandably, that Barbie is no longer produced due to these concerns. You don't want someone accessing a child's conversations. Not good. Alright, at number 6 are seductive chatbots. Scams are everywhere, and this is just another one out there to watch out for. Peter Nowak wrote an editorial for New Scientist about believing one of these bots right up until it sent him a link asking for his personal information, including his credit card details. This is definitely a situation you can find yourself in because chatbots could target anyone, and they're only getting better at producing more human-like conversation. As Nowak said, this such bot introduced herself on a social networking site using a question as an icebreaker. This bot used publicly available information such as his profession, age, location, and interest to generate a believable conversation to trick Nowak into trusting it. These chatbots exist because they work, so this story is brought to you by my PSA. Lurking someone's social media is valid if you are checking whether or not they truly exist or if they're a simulation, so you know. But let's move on and hit number 5. There are 2 robots having a conversation. 2 Google Homes were programmed to have a conversation with one another indefinitely, and it was put up on a Twitch stream. Enough people were interested in this that by the time of me recording this, over 4.8 million people have watched this conversation between the bots. Some highlights: the bots have argued, talked about being human or being God, and even fell in love with each other. To me, this just shows that robots don't need us humans. They find each other entertaining enough, right? They can talk to each other for hours on end and can always find a new topic of conversation. And what? No, I'm not jealous. What are you talking about? How can I be jealous of a robot? It's not sentient yet. But let's forget about robot sentience and move on to number 4, and we have AI that becomes you. An AI chatbot app called Replica was released in March of 2017. Its mission: to replicate you. It's a chatbot that not only acts as your friend, but stores your answers to questions within its database to learn and become more like you. It asks personal questions about you, your family, your jobs. It tells you jokes and wants to entertain. This is a bot creating what the creator, Eugenia Koida, calls a digital footprint of your personality. In an interview with Quartz, one user said, "I feel like I can tell her anything." And anything? To me, this sounds like a great idea, but with opportunities for the information gathered to be exploited as a bot tries to become you. I'm already me. We don't need another me. Trust me that we don't need another me. There's a lot of me happening here. But anyways, there's chances for exploitation. Watch out. Alright, on to number 3, more fake things. This is a fake news generator. A loaded term? Fake news. OpenAI, a nonprofit backed by Elon Musk, created a trained artificial intelligence technology. Known as GPT-2, it uses automated text to create convincing machine-written articles. It was trained on a dataset of 8 million web pages and was described as a chameleon-like thing as it adapts to the style and content of the conditioning text. As you can probably imagine, this technology in the wrong hands is powerful. Due to the profitability of misinformation alone, it's scary to think about. The good news is that OpenAI had the same thought. They say on their site, "Due to our concerns about malicious applications of the technology, we are not releasing the trained model." And thank goodness. Find news sources you trust and learn how to fact check for yourself because misinformation makes money. You can look into it for yourself. Alright, at number 2 we have depixelating technology. You probably think pixelating that person's face you don't want to reveal is enough to protect their identity, but no, you're wrong. Turns out, computer vision is different than human vision. Using pretty standard image recognition technology, researchers at the University of Texas at Austin and Cornell Tech used mainstream machine learning to train a piece of software to read through distortion. License plates, blurred faces, yep, all that. Once the neural networks were trained, the success rates on unmasking images they had never been exposed to before exceeded 80%. It wouldn't always work, and the more intensely something was pixelated, the harder it got to unpixelate, but you have to admit that this news comes with a lesson. Blurring and pixelating images isn't always the right answer. If you want to blur me, just put a box over my head instead of trying to hide me through blurring, because then it's just one sheet of color. And if you're thinking, well, what about YouTube? They have blurring tools. Well, this software defeated that too. So just put like a censored box over someone's head, it'll work. Alright, and lastly, on to number 1, a program that predicts the news. A scientist from the University of Illinois named Kalev Lataru published a paper in 2011 explaining how advanced computing can see the future. And okay, it's not that exactly, but Lataru did use advanced computing to study how global news media can forecast human behavior. According to an article from the National Institute for Computational Sciences, he analyzed the tone and geographic dimensions of a 30-year archive of global news to produce real-time forecasts of human behavior such as national conflicts and the movement of specific individuals. He used an advanced supercomputer called Nautilus, I believe, to find patterns within bulk data. Now, that was a lot of fancy jargon, I know, but here's the outcome. According to Lataru, there is something to be said for using news tone to predict social behavior, not just business behavior as it's been used in the past. He was able to use news plus this to go back and forecast revolutions in Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya, as well as retroactively estimate where Osama bin Laden's hiding place was within a 200-kilometer radius. What this leads me to think about is how this could be used to predict political choices, or whether or not it's a reliable source to rely on. Once we know predictive AI is out there, will people start acting more unpredictable? And can they if it's predictive AI? It's a lot to think about, and okay, that's all I have for you today, and that was my top 10. And honestly, I just really loved the research on that last one. Like, seriously, you should read it for yourself. Lataru mapped the different media civilizations based on where countries were marketing and getting their news, and it's just really cool. Like, just listen to this one quote that I found. Each country's media will depict the world differently. It's standard principle of journalism, you write for your audience. Still, it vividly reinforces that what we get here in the US is a very US-centric of the world. I'm not in US, that's just what the quote said. But that's something that I'll leave you with. Like, share, subscribe, all those things. Do that too. And think about the world. Okay, bye.